So the JAK2 mutation was found, I would say, a little bit by chance because the JAK2 gene was already sequenced by many investigators around the world, but only part of it, the part that was supposed to be potentially deleterious. But in fact, when the group of William Wenchenker sequenced the whole JAK2 gene, they found this JAK2 V617F mutation, the famous one, in virtually all patients with polycythemia vera. And indeed, this mutation is a so-called a somatic mutation, meaning that it's not a mutation that patients have since they're born. It's not inherited, it's not transmitted from parents to children, etc. But it appears by no chance, let's say, in hematopoietic stem cells. And once one of these cells acquires this mutation, usually when a cell acquires a mutation, the cell dies because the gene doesn't function well, etc. But this particular one gives an advantage to the cell. The cell becomes more active than normal and can expand little by little. So it probably takes years once the mutation is there to have some expression and see the increase in blood cells, for example. But after a while, this cell little by little proliferates in the bone marrow and replaces normal cells. And the problem with the cells that have the JAK2 mutation is that you cannot stop their production. Normally, when you have enough red blood cells, for example, your body knows that you have enough cells and send a message to the bone marrow saying, okay, stop now. We have enough red blood cells, you can stop. When the cells have the JAK2 mutation, they don't respond to this stop signal and they continue to produce red cells that accumulate in the blood. It was before the discovery of the JAK2 mutation, it was quite difficult to diagnose an MPN like PV or ET because we needed to do a lot of tests to exclude a lot of things. Now, with just a peripheral blood sample, you can quickly check for JAK2 mutation, and if it's there, then you have somehow a proof that your patient has an MPN. Then you have to perform other tests to better characterize which one is it PV, ET, or another, but at least you quickly know that there's a really hematological disorder that deserves to be better characterized and managed. Main message is definitely pregnancy is possible. So first of all, do not exclude pregnancy just because of the MPN. Then, that being said, of course, it's more complicated than for a woman who doesn't have an MPN because there are more cautions to take. You have to be followed very closely with a close collaboration. And that's the most important point, I think, between the clinician and the obstetrician who follows you. Every time that there were problems during pregnancy, usually it was because the obstetrician said, okay, it's not a problem. We don't care about the MPN. And they didn't follow the patients with us and neglected the MPN. And this always sometimes results in bad outcome. In contrast, when you have a good collaboration, that's the best probably factor to ensure that the pregnancy will be safe and the baby come. We have a lot of babies now. I try to ask pictures of all the babies to my patients when they don't always send, but we have a very nice album already with all the babies. So the message is clearly it's possible, but you have to be careful. You have to be serious, follow up closely the blood counts, the monitoring of the pregnancy, but it's possible. There are several questions that should be asked. First, it's does the treatment of MPN has an impact to become pregnant? Because as you know, some treatments should be stopped or avoided during pregnancy. Another point is, should I have anticoagulants from the beginning of the pregnancy or just at the end of the pregnancy? So those are the most important questions. And how frequently should I monitor my blood count? And what are the the threshold, because when you are pregnant, the numbers of blood cells change naturally. In a normal woman who becomes pregnant, the hemoglobin goes lower, the platelets go down, everything is lower. So you have to reinterpret your blood count once the patient is pregnant. It's not the same thresholds than as usual.